Troy, I made it. Just a quick welcome to everybody that's already here. We're going to give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. Looks like we still have people joining, so we will give it a couple of more minutes just to make sure everybody's here. It looks like I see in the chat there was maybe something wrong with the link in the Eagle flight. Which is the Dr. Powers newsletter that goes out to the teachers. Okay, at this point, let's go ahead and get started. I will be admitting people as they enter the waiting room. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Fay. I'm one of the assistant principals at Joe's College Prep. You know, today is October 20th, 2020.
Dr. Fay, we can't hear you. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Can anyone hear him?
No.
Yeah, you can. Okay, so I'll work on mine.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My laptop is known to give me Darth Vader voice. So if it does that, I will have to, if I log out and log back in, it will fix that. So just let me know if it flips to Darth Vader voice. So yeah, like I was saying, it is approximately 5:38 p.m. Good evening. You know, thank you for joining us for the Jones College Prep LSC Candidate Forum. The candidates you will hear from this evening are seeking parent, community teacher, non-teacher staff, or student representative seats on the LSC, beginning in January of 2021 and serving for 18 months. Our sole purpose this evening is to provide each candidate with an opportunity to share their thoughts on why they would like to serve on the Jones LSC. Each candidate will speak in the order and will have 3 minutes. We will not be having public participation following the candidate statements. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the LSC page of the Jones College Prep website. We are also posting written statements from any candidates who submitted them with their nomination forms. So I will call the candidates in order, and if somebody happens to not be here, then I will go to the next candidate, and then the person, I'll come back to who maybe we passed over because they weren't present when their name was called. So, okay. So first up is Benny Riviera Adesiak in our parent candidate pool. So when you're ready, go ahead and give us your candidate statement. Maybe Benny is not here. So we'll go down to the next candidate, Sam Robinson. When you're ready, Sam.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sam Robinson, and I'm seeking your vote for parent representative on the Jones College Prep LSC. I am the parent of a sophomore who is actively participating in sports and drama at Jones. In June 2020, I was elected to temporarily fill a vacant parent position on the LSC during the summer meeting, which highlighted problems at Jones that pertain to racial and gender inequities. My pre-COVID-19 and pre-Black Lives Matter personal statement was focused on supporting Jones' continued evolution to ensure our students excel in an ever-changing digital society. Those plans changed while attending the meeting when I was elected because that meeting unveiled a greater need that no parent could have imagined. The outcry from the students was coming from several culturally ethnic groups to include the majority group. My focus changed immediately. During my brief time on the LSC, I have supported the Black Lives Matter movement at Jones, as well as making evidence-based decisions about keeping students safe while at school. I was a leading voice to include students on the Safety Council and to hold the administration accountable for developing training for teachers to address conscious and unconscious bias. In the wake of COVID-19 and social injustice, I have also been very outspoken on providing students with resources for counseling. I look forward to helping Jones excel scholastically by helping to create an environment that allows all of its students to excel by providing the proper support structure. I am asking you to allow me to finish this transformation process for Jones College Prep. Please vote for me, Sam Robinson, as parent representative.
Okay. Thank you. Up next is Latrice MacArthur.
Hi, my name is Latrice MacArthur. I am the parent of Jonah, who is a junior at Jones this year. Jonah is an active member of the school body as well. He's in athletics as well as several different clubs. Pre-COVID, again, like Sam, my candidate statement did not address things that have come to light since COVID, but prior to that, I was a volunteer in the school on pretty much a weekly basis in the library, which gave me kind of a unusual parental perspective of the environment at Jones. And so I have a wealth of knowledge of how the students interact with the staff on that scale. And with these new things that came to light, I believe that it is imperative that the LSC is as diverse as the Jones student body is and strives to improve upon. And on those grounds, I'm asking for your vote for the parent position on the LSC.
Thank you. Next up is Simon Chu.
Hi, good evening. My name is Simon Siu. Thank you for you guys vote for SRO yes for the previous meeting. I appreciate it. And I have 3 kids in Jones, 2 graduate, and then I go to college, get the BS degree. I still have my son still in the junior year. And I retire already, so I have a lot of time. I can able to help Jones. I'm a fan of Jones, a member. Just like most of the time, I spend time to help, and then I'm helping the SAT test for last time and then coming up too. And I'm served for LSC over 10 years. And sometime I volunteer on the 11th Ward Alderman. And once a while, I translate some English document to Chinese and then go to Chinese community. I hope I can able to be one of the LSC member. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Timothy Peterson. However, he did let me know that he was not going to be attending tonight. And then the next on the list is Sally. So that leaves up next is Christopher Childers.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Childers. I'm interested in joining the Jones LSC. Was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Been part of the Jones community for the past 6 years. I have a son who's a sophomore and a daughter who graduated 2 years ago. In my professional life, for the last 10 years, I've been a college administrator, and now I work for a not-for-profit that raises funds to help CPS schools promote educational equity in their schools. I'm interested in joining the LSC for 2 reasons. I believe Jones needs to make sure that it is a student-focused organization. It needs to continue to ensure the high academic standards of its students, while at the same time addressing the social and emotional challenges the students face due to the social upheaval caused by the call for social justice, police reform, economic and health challenges. I believe I can be a positive contributor to the LSC, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Jose Hernandez. Jose Hernandez. Then up next, we have Elaine Buggs.
Good evening. I am thankful to have an opportunity to address everyone this evening. I stand before you today as a former CPS student, a current CPS parent, and an experienced educator who lives in the Jones community. I am a proud parent of a sophomore student at Jones College Prep. Jones has a thriving academic community, as evident in its 3 Blue Ribbon Awards and educational excellence within the state. This is indeed praiseworthy, and I commend the entire school community for their collective efforts in this achievement. I also know it's important to hold to the mission, vision, and core values of the school, which the stated goals are to help students develop themselves as leaders through a rigorous college prep program that focuses on educating the whole person. The commitment to equality and dignity of all persons, regardless of their background. The profile of the ideal graduate of Jones College Prep at graduation is socially skilled and mature, aware of his and her own attitudes, biases, strengths, and weaknesses. They are compassionate, a moral and civically responsible member of society, and they are socially just and responsible, which is evident in being culturally aware. Like many of those who were present during the listening session this summer, I was utterly heartbroken and truly pained by the testimonies of both present and past Jones scholars who have been deeply scarred in their experiences at Jones College Prep as it relates to racial inequity. These experiences, these are experiences that my scholar has not only experienced, but has witnessed as well. And frankly, it's unacceptable. We, as a school community, have to do better. I believe that if you see something, not only should you say something, you should do something. That is the reason why I have submitted my name as a candidate for the local school council. My goal is to be a voice for parents, an advocate for students, and a thought partner for school administration to bring forth a culture at Jones whereby all students feel safe and embraced. A culture that is welcoming, equitable, and anti-racist. Let's make the mission, vision, and core values of Jones College Prep a reality in word and action. Black students are not safe while driving, walking down the street, or sleeping in their own homes. We must take action to ensure that they are safe in their schools. It is for this reason that I ask for your vote so that we together can exact change to create an equitable, anti-racist, and continue high scholastic achievement at Jones College Prep. Let's do better.
Thank you. Up next is Robert Menevar.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Students, families, and members of the Jones School community, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today in this virtual environment. I am Roberto Menjivar, and I am running as a parent candidate. And I would work collaboratively with the local school council and the school community to support and strengthen the school's climate and culture with a strong emphasis on equity and intellectual curiosity. I will support Jones students' voices and efforts to make a positive difference in our school community and confront the barriers of equity in education that affect our student success and empowerment. I will listen and take action to ensure that the professional personnel leadership committee's recommendations and concerns are strongly considered by the LSC and the administrative leadership team. Based on my experience and knowledge, I believe I can help the LSC to resolve and bridge these important areas and move forward. During my time as an LSC parent representative of an elementary school with a cultural and social economic diversity, I have worked with nonprofit organizations and community leaders to support students and their families to navigate the selective enrollment and school choice process. I have also participated in several CPS town halls and community events, such as Dr. Janice Jackson's 5-year vision plan with an emphasis on equity for all students. I have also participated in the CPS school funding community workshop for 2020 and 2021 and other engagements, again, focused on equity. As a first-generation son and father of a 10th grade daughter, and I understand the challenges of navigating the education system. And I have made it a part of my social responsibility to help unlock the golden door of freedom, George Washington Carver, 1896. And in the words of the great civil rights leader, the late Representative John Lewis, we must never give up, never give in, speak up, speak out. And when we see something that is not right, not fair, not just, We have a moral obligation to do something, to say something, and not be quiet, and find a way to get in the way, to get into good trouble. These are the ethos that I live by and will bring to the local school council and to the Jones school community to move forward for real progress. I hope you will consider voting for me to serve as an LSC parent representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Cassie Creswell.
Hi, so I'm Cassie Cresswell. I'm the parent of a Jones freshman. A little background about myself. I live in Hyde Park. I've been both a public school and a private school parent. My kids were at Goethe Elementary in Logan Square and then at a private Waldorf school. In my pre-parenthood life, I was a research scientist in the field of natural language processing. I have a PhD in linguistics and an MSc in computer science. For much of the last decade, though, my time has been spent in public education advocacy here in Chicago. And this started with my leading a project to secure funding for the green schoolyard renovation at Goethe Elementary. And then from there, I started working on issues beyond my own kids' schools, including the campaign for an elected school board and opposing the mass school closings in 2013. I was a volunteer for the citywide parent group Raise Your Hand for many years, and I helped found the More Than a Score Coalition to work on issues of standardized testing. Now I run a state level advocacy group, Illinois Families for Public Schools. We really aim to be the voice of families on the ground in Springfield when policy and laws about public schools are being made. As to why I'm running for parent rep, local school councils are really this unique form of school governance in Chicago. And since we don't have an elected board, they're really the only democratically elected institution within CPS with decision-making power in our schools. So to that end, transparency and accountability are absolutely key in making sure the work of the LSC is open and accessible to the public and maximally involves the school community. This would be a key goal for me as an LSC member. Although LSCs only have a small set of powers specified in the law, in fact, a well-functioning LSC can be the steward of a school's culture and vision. It's very clear that there is a fundamental problem with systemic racism at Jones. This isn't something that's unique to our school. Nearly every predominantly white institution of education in the US is coming to terms with something like this right now. But as the elected body for the Jones school community, it's crucial that the LSC take up this work and take an active role in addressing this problem. The LSC really needs to be helping the school rebuild its culture as explicitly anti-racist from the ground up. I think there's a variety of ways for the LSC to carry out this work because of its powers of oversight over the budget, over the principal, and the continuous improvement work plan. Jones, like our nation and our city, is simultaneously facing these two huge challenges of reckoning with racism and operating in the midst of a pandemic. The best tool that we have to address societal problems is democratic self-governance. In Chicago schools, that's the local school council. And so it's really up to all of us to ensure that our LSC is contributing to affect positive change at Jones in this pivotal moment. And so that's why I'm asking for your vote to serve on the LSC to do just that. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Up next is Sarah Ma.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay, my name is Sarah Ma. I'm really inspired to hear all of the parents talk. It's really exciting to have this many people come out to be representatives. So I'm Sarah Ma, I'm a parent of a 9th grader. I'm running for one of the 6 parent representative positions. I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer, have a background in chemical engineering, and currently the owner of a music school on the north side. I have served 2 terms on the Bell LSC, and I'm currently serving the extended term until January of 2021. As an elected representative, I've been vice chairperson, the OMA FOIA officer, a member of the CIWP committee, which is the Continuous Improvement Work Plan committee. I participated in numerous principal evaluations and collaborated to hire a principal. I've also worked tirelessly to improve transparency and communication between the LSC and the community, including parents, teachers, staff, and our Friends of organization. This has been done by making documentation readily available to the community on a publicly shared drive through the school's website, social media platforms, and attending committee meetings. I'm not going to lie, I'm somewhat of a self-proclaimed LSC nerd, so I was excited to join the Jones LSC meetings this summer, as Bell has also begun to work on equity and anti-racism through its CIWP and Equity Committee. And I was interested to see what other schools were doing, especially a school with such a prestigious reputation like Jones. But I was heartbroken to read the stories of Jones alumni and current students, but unfortunately not surprised, especially having followed the stories from other schools. It's clear after talking with students, teachers, and parents of the Jones community that Jones needs to heal. And one of the ways for this to happen is through persistence and vision from our leaders, and also through accountability. An effective, efficient, and transparent local school council can make this happen. I have seen it with my own eyes in my own community. It takes time and it takes perseverance, and it takes people wanting to do the work. It takes collaboration with the school administration and all of the stakeholders. And not only do you have to listen, but you have to hear what people are saying, and you have to do the work. So why vote for me? I've been there, I'm collaborative, and I do the work. So vote for me on November 19th. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And our last parent, well, we may circle back to a couple more, but Lainey, you're up next. Lainey Canavera-Weinstein.
Hi, how are you doing tonight? Thank you so much. I have been a member of the Jones LSC off and on, both as a community member, as a parent, and also filling in at various times since I think 2008. This is the first forum that I've been involved with that has had this much interest and this much commitment to supporting the Jones School, and I think it's amazing. I had originally put my name in to be a part of the board again because so little interest earlier in the year from parents. And I think that one of the things that we've been looking at over the years off and on is how do we get that involvement? How do we get people that are interested? I see my role on the LSC is to be somebody who listens to the Jones community and then amplifies both the voices of the parents and also the students, but works with administration in order to try to make the changes and do what we need to do in order to move forward. As has been mentioned here multiple times by parents, we have kind of entered uncharted new territories with what's going on, both on a national level here in the city and in the microcosm of the Jones community as it relates to equity, to the race relations. And I think that it is very important that we continue to do this work and that we have people that are going to be committed to doing it. One negative that I've seen in my time on the LSC is that we have individuals who will come in for a term or a short term, and there is no consistency moving between the various LSC councils. There have been multiple times where all people, like every single person on the LSC for whatever reason, left. And I think that something that's going to be very important is that there is the commitment by people who are currently on the council, as well as anybody that comes on to, as someone said, stay and do the work. We need to work for a more equitable, a more racially just, a more socially just school so that our students can actually build on that amazing academic platform that we have and move forward. So I would be pleased to serve on the LSC once again and hopefully help to move that forward.
Okay, thank you. Did Ebony Rivera Dezak join us since we started? Or Jose Hernandez? Jose Hernandez. Okay, so we'll move on to our Seoul Community Representative candidate, Rachel Zine.
Hello, I'm Rachel Zen. I'm grateful for the opportunity to run for a community representative position on the Jones LSC. I am a student at UIC and I research education policy and curriculum. And in my work, I've learned a lot about the democratic potential, but also some of the failures of local school councils here in the city. I'm also a graduate of selective enrollment, public middle and high schools. And because of that, I'm keenly aware of the dynamic at schools like Jones. But over the past few weeks, I've gotten the chance to speak with a few members of the Jones community. And since I am relatively new to the community myself, I'd just like to share some of their concerns and also some of their goals with you all. One parent brought up a tangible tension at Jones right now between the students, teachers, and parents. And they suggested that we think about addressing this tension through collaborative goals that are rooted in accountability to one another. Another parent expressed concern that the Jones LSC operates like a rubber stamp council, and they wondered what it would look like if there was more thorough interrogation and transparency of what the LSC approves and also what the LSC does not approve. I was also inspired by another parent's suggestion to center connection. They suggest that we reach out to parents who are maybe less connected to the goings on of the Jones School community, especially during this indefinite and precarious period of remote learning. One parent suggested that we could maybe do this by developing a collaborative and evolving communication plan that's responsive to feedback. There also seems to be an overwhelming need for Jones to center anti-racist policies moving forward. And with respect to this point, I am interested in exploring how other school LSCs that have voted to remove their school resource officers are imagining alternate approaches to student and staff safety. And I say this with the understanding that there is no extensive research that school resource officers keep students or staff safe. So to cap this off, I'd like to uplift the platforms of the other candidates on the ballot this year who are similarly invested in collaborative, transparency-oriented, and explicitly anti-racist approaches to LSC governance at Jones. Thank you and take care.
Thank you, Rachel. Now we can move along to our teacher candidates. Up first is Mr. Hesselton.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rob Hesselton, and I am seeking the teacher's vote for the representative, one of the two representative seats on the LSC Council here. I have been that's my dog whining in the background. It's a 10-week-old puppy, so please ignore it. I have been a member of the Jones community here for 16 years now, and have seen the school grow from 730 students when I first arrived up to the just shy of 2,000 students that we are now. And during that growth process, the school has undergone obviously tremendous strides academically, but we've also seen changes in socially and racially and ethnically in the makeup of the school. And there has been, as came out at the end of June, beginning of July, when the open meeting forum was, just a lot of hurt that's happening at Jones. And I want to come join the LSC to help collaborate and find, I don't know where the dog just went, and find ways to help the school heal from these hurts that are happening right now. Be an advocate for the students that we have, and also to work as a voice for the staff. I'm the school scheduler, and I have a sort of a unique position where I'm in contact with people from all of the various different departments, working with them during scheduling, and also the counseling department, the administration. So I have a very good pulse on the staff in the school, and I'd just like to help the school move forward and heal after the growth that it's experienced and the changes that we've had and the inequities that we've seen in the school. And I seek your vote and thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Hesselton. Up next is Ms. Bowman.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kim Bowman. I am a 16-year Chicago Public School educator, and this is my 8th year at Jones. I have taught at neighborhood schools and now Jones since I came with the new building, I like to say. So I've watched over my time at Jones it grow. I am seeking the teacher vote for a few reasons. I'm currently an interim LSC member. So I ran just recently and I'm going through all my trainings right now because I felt like we needed to move forward and I needed to put my time and my effort where my mouth is. And I just feel like I felt compelled to start to make a change. And so my goals are to help the healing process for Jones. I see the potential that we could have, and I want to help us reach that potential. And so I'm asking for your vote. What you'll get with me is you're going to get an honest person who puts students first. And that is my goal, is to make sure that our students are being served. And when they're not, then we have failed them and we need to do better. And so my goal is to work for the interest of the students in the school community and to bridge the relationship between administration, parents, community, and teachers and staff. So that's what my goal is. And I think that's all I got because I'm exhausted. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Up next is Ms. Martinsek.
Hi, I'm Ms. Martinsek. Kim and I are the same Jones age. So this is my 8th year at Jones and my 12th year in CPS. So I've taught both at a neighborhood school and now at Jones. In addition to as also being an interim LSC representative, I've also been on the Jones PPLC. This is my 2nd year beginning with the PPLC. So I've been doing a lot of work with PPLC to try to enhance teacher voice, to make sure that teachers' concerns are being heard, that we're like communicating with the administration and also with the LSC so that parents get to hear the teacher perspective, because that's often something that they don't really get, right? Like parents, you might talk to your student, you might get to talk to teachers at report card pickup, but getting a more regular insight to what's happening inside the school building from different perspectives is really valuable. So one of my goals, if I am to serve as LSC representative, is to continue to elevate teacher voice, to continue to survey teachers, get their input, and help them to also just like speak at LSC meetings, come to PPLC meetings, bring their voice to the forefront so that all the issues that are being like brought up in small conversations can get like the attention that they need and deserve. And I hope that on the LSC I can work to help continue to elevate student voice as well. I think that that's a piece that is essential for a truly functional LSC. So I'm excited to hear from the student candidates and then also support our student representative in the upcoming term.
Okay, thank you. Next, we move on to our non-teaching staff candidates. And first up is Mr. Hilbrands.
Hi, my name is Troy Hilbrands. I'm running for the non-teacher member of the LSC. A little bit about me. I was raised in Michigan by a single mother and learned firsthand of the challenges that public schools have by attending all years in 9 through 12. And then I think this gave me a perspective of a multicultural environment and insight into issues many schools actually face still today. I attended Michigan State before moving to Chicago in 2000. And before coming to Jones in 2013, I've had a very diverse work experience, and I actively volunteer for various charities and community groups, including the Center in Halstead, the Trevor Project, AIDS Legal. I host a makerspace event here at Jones, to mention just a few. I have a strong connection to the community via my management of the Jones usage for the local local charities, community groups, and unique events for the school, which enrich the student experience. And then through direct contact with clubs and organizations, Friends of Jones, and helping to reestablish the Jones Alumni Network, I've been able to keep a finger on the pulse of Jones. And I also manage the pretty much all the communications for Jones, including all the social media channels, website, emails for the school. I collaborate with many different departments, both internally and at CPS Central. And I think that gives me a full and unique viewpoint on the school's financial budget, spending, and opportunities, not to mention the facility management and the communications we send out to parents and students. I think of myself as a solution-focused pragmatist that will do what makes sense to make the most sense for the Jones community. I have just over 6 years of experience working as the former LSC election coordinator, and I'm currently the liaison between the LSC members, both current and past, for the school. I have extensive insight on the roles and responsibility of the LSC based on my interactions, as I mentioned, with current and past members. I consider myself open-minded and I embrace positive change, and I face difficult issues, I think, with empathy and diplomacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hilbrands. Up next is Greg Lee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Lee. I am running for the non-teacher position also. A little bit about myself. I'm a security officer at Jones, and I'm the father of 8 children, 6 of which who are graduates of Chicago Public Schools. Because of the position that I hold at Jones, I think it puts me in a unique position as an LSC member, being that I spend my day patrolling the school. I walk the halls all day, which means I interact with the students all day. I'm able to build relationships with the students, and I hear a lot of the complaints and the praises from the students about the school. I'm also in the position to interact with the staff, from the lunchroom staff, the custodians, the teachers, the other non-teaching staff. I'm basically in a position where I interact with just about everyone on almost a daily basis. I am the type of person that I don't do something unless I think I can make a positive impact in whatever it is that I'm doing. If I can't make an impact in whatever it is that I'm going to do, then there's no point in me doing it, because I'm not a go along to get along person. When I do something, I do it because I believe that I can make a change, not because it's the fad thing or the cool thing or the in thing to do. My goal in life has always been to leave whatever environment, leave whatever person or people that I interact with better than before I came, to leave some kind of positive impact or some kind of a positive change in any and everyone's life that I interact with. That's always been my goal. That's always going to be my goal. I will give the LSC every bit of energy that I can muster whenever needed to ensure that the students are being treated as they should be, they're being respected as they should be, as well as the staff members. I will make sure that any and all complaints, issues, praises, whatever it is that staff has as far as Jones is concerned, gets to whoever it needs to get to, so that whatever positive changes can be made will be made. Like I said, I'm not a go along to get, I'm not a go along to get along person. And everyone who knows me, they kind of know that. I'm going to do what's right, whether it's popular or not, whether it's at a personal cost to myself or not. Because at the end of the day, doing what's right's the only real way to live and be successful. And that's all I have to say. That's my soapbox. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak to you.
Thanks, Greg. Now I move on to the student candidates. The first up is Jasper Hoffman. Jasper Hoffman. Denia Boyd is up next.
Hello. My name is Danaya Boyd, and I'm the current local school council student representative. Since the start of my position on the council, I have seen firsthand many wonderful things about Jones and this community, but I have also seen many issues apparent in the lives of our students. I'm incredibly passionate about improving the lives of students at Jones in every way, whether it be academically, socially, or personally, and I believe that I have shown a strong effort to do so with my position on the LSC and leadership positions in other clubs like Black Student Union. There are so many issues that we students see that need to be forced into the light, and we need a strong voice to push them there. It would be an honor to finish my high school career as a voice for the student body, especially those who usually go unheard, and leave Jones a better place than I found it. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Maxwell Kremen. Maxwell Kremen. Michael Clancy. Michael Clancy. Violet Berlin.
Hi, my name is Violet Berlin. I am a junior at Jones College Prep. I am a strong advocate of the local school council and consider it a true practice of democratic government that I'm actually learning about in civics class right now. I believe that the LSC creates a forum that gives personal empowerment to students, providing us with a voice. This is why I want to be on it. All people have a civic duty to participate. Therefore, I've taken on various responsibilities while at Jones. As a freshman, I was elected class president, and in this position, I gained experience communicating with administration and other students in fundraising and budget allocation. I also gained experience at CPS headquarters after I learned that more plastic than fish will soon fill our oceans. Specifically, I initiated and then worked through management in replacing plastic lunchroom utensils with compostables. This was first done with Jones as a pilot school and ultimately rolled out throughout all CPS, saving approximately 400,000 of pieces from going into a landfill and taking thousands of years to disintegrate. Making this happen was easier than I thought. It taught me that we all have the capacity to change things for the better. My additional experience includes working with government, business, and nonprofit officials in analyzing social problems and developing solutions at the Civic Leadership Institute. Part of the hands-on training included teaching me how to participate in various communities throughout the city. We learned the value of working with the community instead of for them in order to create change that lasts. The LSC is a real Congress that gives its members the ability to work together in making Jones a very special place. My compassion and enthusiasm can greatly contribute to advancing the school forward, either in person or remotely. Thank you.
Thank you. Faith Buggs is next. Faith?
Yes, hi. My name is Faith Buggs and I'm a sophomore at Jones. I'm also a member of the Black Student Union and the cheerleading squad. As a member of the Black community, I've dealt with racial discrimination, and my goal is to minimize that in the school setting. My reason for running for student rep is to give a voice for the Black students at Jones. As of what I've seen, there were no Black students from the class of 23 on any student government position during my freshman year and my sophomore year, and it's time for change. This school needs to be a comfortable space for all students, not just the majority. While I serve as student rep, my intent is to make Jones an environment that is intolerable of racism and teaches students and teachers the damage of racial stereotypes, racial slurs, ignorant comments, and cultural appropriation. In collaboration with the Black Student Union, we can offer a fresh perspective and hopefully take action to correct inappropriate behavior and instead replace it with a diverse school that is welcome to all communities, regardless of race, gender, or sexuality. I plan to take action by creating an environment for those who are oppressed to communicate about any racial tensions, which will then be included in the report every month for the LSC meetings. With time and effort, we can make Jones an inclusive environment for all students rather than just the majority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Up next, William Clancy. And then we have Rawan Al-Bawab.
Yes. Hello all, my name is Rawan. I'm a junior at Jones and I'm running for the student position on LSC. Now I can't say that as a 17-year-old I've had a lot of experience in the political field, but in my few years at Jones, I have been gaining experience in the field of being a high schooler. I participated in 3 sports in my time at Jones. I've been in numerous clubs, and in my summers, I work at the Hyde Park Art Center helping kids create. This past year, we have all faced the challenges online school poses, so I've joined a tutoring program where I will be helping younger kids navigate the obstacles of the school year. This position is asking for someone who can bring the student perspective to school issues, and as you can see, I am more than capable of this, but so are any one of the great candidates here today. What I feel makes me different is my passion to be constantly learning, listening, and growing. Although I enjoy spending time with my friends and playing with my cat, I also enjoy learning about the world around me in classes like AP Human Geography and AP Government, so I can be a more aware and educated citizen. Similar to many, I've been paying close attention to the news, but with everything going on in this crazy world, with COVID and all the racial injustice, one can only do so much sitting and watching. What I want to do the most is go out in the world and make an impact. By having the honor to represent and be the student voice for my fellow students and making the change we all need, I can make a difference. Maybe not for the entire country, but for those around me. And nowadays, any change makes a big difference. I love the school. I even have a little sister in middle school who is looking to go to Jones. And I'd love nothing more than to leave this school even a little better than it was before. If elected, I can without a doubt say that I will bring my all to this position, even when I have a calculus test the next day, because I know that this role is bigger than just me and is bigger than this moment. So vote for me, and together we can create the change for all present and future Eagles. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That is the entire list. Did anyone join late? Did any candidates join late? I just want to give one more chance. Well, so then at this time, we can conclude our candidate forum. Details regarding the voting process in November will be forthcoming from CPS. And I just want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining us this evening, and thank you to all the candidates for your statements. And that concludes the evening's event. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Hey, Troy. Nice to see you. Is there anything else you need before we like just wrap this up or whatever?
No, I just ended the meeting.
Okay. I'll see you later then.
All right. Ciao.
Probably next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.